Hi all my crafty friends, and welcome to Designs by Gaddis. Today I am joining in on the new 5 for $5 challenge hosted by Missy from Hey Y'all Let's DIY and Emily from Farm Charm Chick. The challenge is to create 5 tier tray decor items, each costing $5 or less. You will find a link to both Missy and Emily's channels in the description, along with a link to this playlist. Check everyone's videos out. There are some amazing crafters in this group, and I am so thankful to be able to be part of this challenge. I decided to go with a bee themed tier tray for this challenge. For my first project, I created a cute little beehive using a Dollar Tree football. I couldn't find just a regular football, so I picked up this one. I cut the football in half and then removed the little yellow things that were in the football. I used Dollar Tree nautical rope and hot glued it to the football. I wrapped and glued the entire football. When I got to the top, I trimmed the rope and put a large glob of hot glue and pushed the rope down into it and held it down for a moment. I cut another piece of rope and hot glued it into a circle on the front of the hive for the entrance. And yes, I burned my fingers doing this. So be careful and remember, unlike me, hot glue is hot. I didn't like the football showing on the bottom, so I cut some craft paper out and hot glued it to the bottom and then trimmed it around the sides. I wanted the nest to look like it had honey dripping out, so I added some hot glue at the bottom of the entrance and let it drip onto a piece of wax paper. While I was letting the hot glue dry, I used a lighter and ran it around the hive. This burnt all the little fuzzies from the nautical rope and gave the nest more of a realistic appearance. Once the hot glue was dry, I used Apple Barrel King's Gold acrylic paint and painted the honey. For the entrance to the hive, I used Waverly Ink chalk paint, which is a black color, and painted inside of the entrance using a Dollar Tree makeup brush. I didn't think the King's Gold paint looked like honey, so I decided to paint over it with some Master's Touch gold acrylic paint. I got this paint from Michael's, but it is available on Amazon. I tried to remove the wax paper from the hot glue, but it didn't work. So all I did was trim around the honey so the wax paper wasn't visible. I love the way the beehive turned out, and the honey dripping out was an amazing addition. I wound up ordering these little beads from Amazon, and they added the perfect touch. The total cost for this project was around $4. Next, I created some wood bead bees using Dollar Tree wood beads. They came in a bag with all different colors. I picked out all the yellow ones first. To make the bee, I used one large and one medium bead for the larger bees, and used one medium and one small bead for the smaller bees. I hot glued the two beads together. Once I had all the bees glued together, I used Dollar Tree spackling to fill in the holes in the beads. And I used a baby wipe to remove the excess spackling. I decided to add wings to a few of the bees. I used this string I had in my stash. I think I got this roll from either Hobby Lobby or Michael's. I'm not sure which one. I added a small amount of Mod Podge to a piece of wax paper and then used a paintbrush to form what I thought a bee wing looked like. I started on the outside edge and wrapped the string in the Mod Podge until I reached the middle. I then cut the string and added another layer of Mod Podge. I did this same step for all the wings that I made. While the wings dried, I used a paint marker to draw black lines and faces on the bees. I removed the wing from the wax paper, trimmed off the excess, and hot glued them onto the bees. I then hot glued the bees randomly around the hive. I used this Dollar Tree seashell jar to make a honey jar. I removed the shells and painted it with Waverly Maize chalk paint and ink around the top. The ribbon I used, I actually got from a neighbor who was moving. She had sat a bunch of stuff out at the road, so I asked her if I could check it. Inside one of the boxes was 2 large bags of ribbon. And hey, you can't beat free. I used the ribbon and a piece of twine to make a small tassel to add to the bottle. To make the tassel, I stacked all 3 together and wrapped it around 2 of my fingers 2 times. I didn't want a large tassel, so twice was enough. I tied the tassel with another piece of twine and then cut the extra ribbon off and cut the tassel to form 2 sides. I folded the tassel in half and tied a knot in the back. I added a small dab of hot glue to the knot and wrapped the twine around the top of the tassel a couple of times. I added another small dab of glue to secure the end and trimmed away the excess twine. When I created the tassel, I left the twine I tied in the middle long enough so I could wrap it around the top of the jar to secure it. I used a lighter to remove all the fuzzies from the twine. I created this cut file in Design Space and cut it out. I applied it to the front of the jar. I wanted honey to be dripping from the jar like I did the hive, so I let some hot glue run down the jar and then used the same gold paint as before to paint the honey. So to start with, I'm going to let you know this project almost turned into a huge fail, but I was able to recover from it. I used this small piece of gray fabric from my stash. I folded it in half and ran hot glue down the sides. I left the top open, thinking I would stuff it and make a pillow. Well, that isn't what happened. I cut out this cute file from Design Bundles and used my iron to get the vinyl to stick to the cloth. Since this was going to be a decor piece only, I didn't see any reason in using actual iron-on vinyl, so I just used regular vinyl. I began stuffing the pillow, and that's when I realized the mistake I had made. I hot glued the inside, not the outside of the pillow. I tried to figure out a way to make it look okay, but eventually gave up and decided to place it in a frame. I found this adorable frame with beads in my stash and knew it would look amazing. Plus, the frame was white, so no painting required. I placed the fabric on the existing picture and trimmed it to fit and inserted it into the frame. I removed the beads from the frame, placed them on skewers, and painted them. I used Waverly maize, ink, and plaster on the beads. Once the beads were dry, I strung them on a piece of twine and reattached them to the frame with hot glue. This turned out to be a super easy project. I used this Dollar Tree mini stand-up sign to create a queen bee sign to place on or next to my tier tray. The sign was a glossy white and I wanted a matte finish. So, since it was a slick finish, I used some 220 grit sandpaper and sanded the front. I then applied Waverly plaster chalk paint for the matte finish I was looking for. While the paint dried, I used my Cricut to cut out this queen bee cut file I got from Design Bundles, and all I had to do was apply it to the sign. I love creating all these tier tray decor pieces for this challenge, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video. You will find links to the cut files I used in the description, along with links to Missy and Emily's channels, and a link to the 5 for $5 playlist. There are some very talented crafters in this challenge, so make sure you check them all out. And guys, I wanted to let you know that I will be participating in the Red, White, and Blue Challenge hosted by Teresa B. DIY and Unicorn Dust Designs in May. All proceeds made in May will be donated to the Fisher House. Fisher Houses are a home away from home offered at no cost to military and veteran families, allowing them to be together with their loved ones receiving specialized care at military and VA medical centers around the world and ensure they can be a part of the healing process. Be sure to subscribe and check out the other participants in this challenge. Currently, my channel is not monetized, so if you could check out the link in the description and make a small donation, I would really appreciate it. Another way you can show your support is to watch the ads on the other participants' pages. By watching the ads and not skipping them, the ads' revenue will go up, which means the amount they will donate for this challenge will increase. I'll let you know more details about this challenge in the upcoming videos.